policy, that kind of thing. So we'll take 5 minutes, discuss that with your neighbors, and then we'll have some of those ideas come back. So turn to your 3 or your 4 folks, and what is your role? What might your role be in addressing some of the built environment and health issues? And perhaps, is there anything we could do collectively? Not as much talking this time. No commitments, just an exploration.
Like I think most of the things on sector driven, like I guess for me it would be mostly around kind of like the culture, so the special events and programs and stuff like that. Go, yeah. Like go to that meeting too.
Small cities, have like a segment advisory committee that's speaking about are really like I help you do the work on sit in the community as a representative. So wherever we can do that support. Probably like a few times smaller cities. Yeah. And there would like those few key people who were like small towns. Yeah. Who were like, oh, it would be awesome for this as well. And but like that's, I don't know, they're getting like parking put in and like sure the road signs. They are moving things. But you need like the initiative to have
Right.
That's interesting. Yeah, like we were kind of not too people and so you realize to do what they want and like
Yeah.
That's like one example.
Well, that's good. Like, how about the what? Yeah.
Okay, we've got over 5 minutes left before we head out for lunch. So what I would do is 2 things. I'd like to encourage you to continue this conversation over lunch, and especially if you have ideas about how to get together collectively on some of this stuff, please continue the conversation. Consider this a little break in your conversation. If you could share some of the ideas that you have discussed. We've got about 5 minutes to
Can I also ask as a moderator, are you eating lunch with us?
yeah.
Staying for lunch? Okay, so perhaps because people may also have questions. And so maybe over lunch, afterwards, but over lunch you can also get to Paul with your questions. But if people want to share back some of their ideas on roles for us.
So what might our role be in addressing some of the built environment and health issues? guys have any ideas about what our role might be? Yeah.
I think we talked about raising awareness of what assets we already have provincially, what's happening provincially. So we talked about OPHA, Ontario Public Health Association's Built Environment Working Group, and the listserv. We talked the fact that public health has a new strategic direction that specifically focuses on the built and natural environment, so that's an opportunity. So I think that that's something.
And who needs to hear that when we say share? Just kind of get it out there.
Sharing it, yeah.
Yeah.
Just to keep it sharing.
It came up that some of the business and foreign law disconnected from the health field side.
Right.
Or they like to just have the same resources.
Right.
Try to have opportunities how we get the same goal.
To share some of your experiences and so some of the CHCs or some of the health units in the north don't have the same resources that maybe are starting out on some of this work. I think we heard from someone earlier doing community kitchens and community gardens. How can we get some of our experiences out to those folks? Yeah. Any other ideas on what our role might be?
I think some part of our role, which is maybe very high level, but is keeping the systems accountable. So, for example, when a community engages in a CDP or there's particular design plans, official plan, that then private developers are held accountable to that process, and our governments hold private developers. So, one thing that is an entryway is the review of the Ontario Municipal Board, and they're doing consultations on the process currently and over the next little while. So that's an entryway to ensure that our political processes are actually accountable to those who engage and who engage, and make that feeling of control, and make that sense of loss of control maybe be built as well.
So our role could be to, just to recap for the recording as well, provide a little more vigilance over the process and ensure that there's accountability between what the community has set out and what the developers are building, and also to engage, if we can, in if there's an Ontario Municipal Board process. That
The review of their processes that's currently underway.
Oh, I see. Yes, yes. So yes, there's some policy review coming up, provincial policy review, one of which is the Ontario Municipal Board process. So health could start to engage in that and start to build more accountability and a sense of control over what we're building. Yeah. Thanks. Yeah.
I actually have a chance to discuss this with my neighbors, but one of the things that I keep coming back to is from both an environmental health background and from a public health background, we often talk about how we can make our message more translatable to decision makers as well as business. I know the ecosystem health point, they've often looked at the inherent value of environmental initiatives. So, talk about the financial loss of losing green space or something like that. And I think there's a really great opportunity there, and we do touch on it often, is how to link both the cost savings of improved physical activity and better built environment and the idea of improving green space or whatever the environmental environmental benefits that fall out of that are, linking those together and really for lack of a better word, putting a cash value to it that decision makers and other businesses or industry can actually really relate to, and
Right.
It gives just another way of presenting our benefit, the benefit.
So starting to wrap up some of this discussion in terms of the cost savings of the environmental work and the built environment piece, sharing that with decision makers.
Yeah, and just linking them both together, coming
Right.
to with strong.
Cost and environmental benefits.
Yes.
Yep. I think we're going to have to wrap up.
Sorry.
Yeah.
This is our workshops today are 15 minutes shorter than they were yesterday. Thank you, Paul, so much.
Thank you.
I hope that you'll be able to continue some of your conversations with people that you met in the workshop, and Paul will be around if you want to grab them with questions. And as was mentioned earlier, these slides will be available online. A couple of reminders before we break for lunch. Your next an hour, but at 12:30 in this room, there's going to be the Walk Ontario Awards, which will be a great, more assets. We'll be looking at some more assets around the province, so you'll definitely want to catch that. Also, please your evaluation forms if you think about working on them through the day, so that you're able to get them into us by the end of the day. And I just wanted to mention, because Paul spoke about the index of well-being, there is a workshop focusing on that in the next session. So if you want to